We're going to now look at doing a 4-ply yarn, and we're doing this as a cabled yarn, which basically means we have two 2-plies that are then over twisted and then put back together into a 4-ply which is balanced. So the colours that I'm going to use are these two, which are sort of magenta and green, and the other two are a purple and a sort of variegated pink. So each of these two colour combinations are going to form a 2-ply thread. Now, in order to make this a balanced yarn, I'm going to over-ply the two 2-plies. So I'm going to show you how I do this. So I've spun the two 2-plies as a balanced yarn at the moment, and I'm just going to show you how to actually over-ply it, ready for doing the 4-ply. Okay, so here is the first of my plies. This little section is just one coloured, as I had a little bit left over at the end of one of the colours, but it'll do to show you how I'm going to decide how much over-ply to put into the first lot of 2-ply. So I'm going to get the wheel going in the same direction that I plied it in, and I'm going to count how many treadles it takes me for the length of yarn that I'm going to use. So I've put in 3 treadles for that amount. I'm going to let it double back on itself and see whether or not that gives me the kind of finish that I want, and at the moment that is quite loose. So I'm going to add another couple, 3, and let that double back on itself. Now that's looking much more like the kind of yarn that I want to produce. I think maybe a little bit more, and that will do me just how I want it. Okay, so not too bad a 4-ply there, quite nice to look at. So I'm going to try and maintain that amount of extra twist all the way through this 2-ply. So the first thing I'm going to do to give myself enough to work with is I'm just going to extend this just a little bit. Double it back. Okay, so if I want to be able to replicate that all the way through this lot of plied yarn and the next lot, I'll keep that as a guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break this off, and I'm going to keep that as my sample. I'm just going to tie a little knot in the end of that just so that it stays put as it's just freshly spun. I'm going to rejoin this. Now, referring back to my sample, on a fairly regular basis I'm going to carry on and over-ply this yarn. Now, the quick way to do this is to count how many treadles it takes for a given length of yarn, so I'll just work that one out now. Okay, so that's 7 treadles for that length of yarn, and then shoot it onto the bobbin. So a little foul up there. And I'm just going to carry on doing this, and then I'm going to do the same with the second bobbin, and then we'll come to the plying part. Right, here we have my two plies that have now been over plied. So the green and the pinky purple one, and the purple and variegated pink. So now, because these were spun Z twist and then over plied S twist, I'm now going to ply them back together again, and this time I'm going to do it back in a Z twist so that it becomes a balanced yarn. So this is the sample that I produced earlier, and the one that I'm going to match this plied yarn to. I'm going to take these two plied yarns, tie them onto my leader, and remember that these are going to go back into another Z twisted yarn. Let me just get this a little bit onto the bobbin. Quite a large knot there joining them together. Just want to make sure it doesn't stick on the hooks there. Okay, so same process as I've done plying in the past. Slide my fingers down, let the yarn drop just until those kinks disappear. Now, if you look at this now, you can see that each of the individual colours is actually running straight up the length of the yarn, same as the very first sample that I did. So I know this is an easy way to see that it's actually balanced. There they are. So it looks like we've got lots of little dots all running in a straight line. And this gives a beautifully rounded yarn as well. Very nice profile. Now I know that I was doing 7 treadles to that length of yarn to put the extra twist in, and now I'm doing 4 treadles to take it back out again to make it balanced. I'm just going to move this along a little bit on the bobbin. Right, that's come to the end of it now. So I'm just going to pull some of this back off the bobbin, just so that you can see what it looks like now that it's finished. So this is it, a nice balanced yarn, and if you look at it you can see that all of those little individual colours are running in little dots all the way up the length of it. So this is the finished yarn. It's also been washed as well now, and it's very nicely balanced, hangs in a very nice neat loop.